Hello viewers, Super GT here. I am finally back on GT7 to join me for some rather carnage-filled races around Willow Springs. When I saw this race come up on the daily races this week, I felt like we had to give it a go and witness the destruction firsthand. Now Willow Springs, of course, it's in the desert, it's sandy, as you can probably tell that. And we're going to begin this one at the beginning. That's just how it works. Obviously, you don't really begin at the end, although you might. That guy's race is almost about to end there as he goes onto the sand. And that is the main danger of this circuit, really, as we make our way up into third position. Is, well, really, there's not much forgiveness. Oh my god, that guy just went straight on. Forgot to turn. So, I don't know if you're watching, whoever that driver is, but there's a steering wheel in front of you. You just have to turn that and hopefully go around the corner. Now, we're going to whip it forward a little bit here. I find myself in P4, the German there with a penalty. As it's very easy to do that here. I'm going to nip underneath. And this is one of the characteristics of this circuit that I quite enjoyed, was that you can actually try to force people into alternative lines. You can try to overtake in quite creative ways around this track. And it's a track that's not really ever come up all that much in GT7. It's not the main Willow Springs circuit, for those who aren't aware. The main Willow Springs circuit is actually quite a lot bigger. This one is just a very tight and twisty circuit, and it's kind of well suited, I suppose, to this Honda Civic touring car. I find myself now up behind Asim Bomb, who is in second. I'm in third, looking for the race win. And the race win actually, well, he's about 2 seconds away. Not too impossible to catch up. Now we've got this banked corner here. Look at this lovely switcheroo. Absolutely beautiful. David Croft would be having a panic attack watching that switcheroo. The old switcheroo. Not just any switcheroo, the old switcheroo. Let's be specific here and be accurate with the exact type of switcheroo we're talking about. Yeah, I find myself here up in P2, looking onwards at the leader, who's garnered himself a rather tidy lead of about 2 seconds by this point in time at the end of lap 2. 3 laps to go. Can we catch up and get this race victory perhaps? Through this section here, you have to be very committed, very brave, and that's actually where I was gaining quite a lot of time. The gap stayed about the same until that point there, where I gained maybe 3 or 4 tenths. So I knew I was quicker than this guy, gaining, say, about 6 or 7 tenths of a second. 6 tenths, I think, would be, yeah, 6 tenths at the end of that lap compared to him. And this is lap 4, going into the banked corner. Getting closer and closer, as you can see, and I'm sure he can see me increasing in the amount of pixels I take up in his virtual mirror as we hurtle down towards this very fast section. We'll be very committed. I mean, I've already described that kind of section, haven't I, about a minute ago. And we're gaining once more, and surely that means his heart rate, and mine if we're being honest, is increasing as we get head around the final corner onto the final lap of the race. Here we go then. Can we get this overtake done? We've pulled off 3 very consistent laps, 21-1, 21-1, 21-2. It's going to cover the inside, fair enough. Not much I can do about that. How about down the hill into the next corner? He shifts gear, and at that moment you see, looking for the move. Wasn't quite going to happen there. Going to try and get up on his left hand side here. 2 wheels on the sand, and that's kind of half of the course around this circuit. Very tight, twisty track. You do kind of have to do that. Try and go around the outside here, and I feel like a little bit squeezed, but only just keeping 2 wheels on the tarmac. Thankfully, there he retains his position. I wasn't quite able to get the move done. Can we perform the old switcheroo? Not quite. He's got a good line there, and I couldn't really do much about it. In fact, having to back off the throttle momentarily to make sure I don't go off the side of the circuit. So running out of corners within which to get this overtake done. I think I'm definitely quicker, but I just can't quite engineer a move. Down into the final corner, there's potential here to go up the inside, and he covers the inside, so I decide I'm going to go deep, cut back, and get the acceleration, get the drive. I've got the drive. He has got the intention of ramming me off onto the grass, onto the sand. It's a first place, guys. Absolutely incredible. By less than 0.2 of a second. Take another look at that. As we come through the shameful ramming attempt, he gave the space and then he thought, actually, nah, you can go off. But it wasn't enough, was it? Wasn't enough, my friend. Do apologise for stealing the win away from you. But it was quite funny to watch that one back. And I suppose it really is a lesson here in just trying to get people to go offline. And I'm pretty sure he went into second gear, which is not what you want to do. And there, boom, he loses the momentum as he shifts into third. I was already in third. And we snatch away the win in rather funny circumstances. I was definitely cracking up to myself when that happened. Now we go again. Let's quickly recap this race. Starting in 7th, I only did like 2 laps qualifying, so I didn't really bother trying to set a decent time. That guy, the Frenchman there, just driving himself straight off the track, unassisted. Unforced error, that would be called in tennis. But this is motorsport, and I suppose it's still an unforced error. Down the hill, P5, we started P7, okay, we're making ground. Towards the end of lap number 1, trying to engineer, again, another move towards this final sector. Wasn't quite going to work there, very close indeed. Unfortunately, I just went, I'd say 2 pixels wide there, over the curb, and therefore getting dished out the 1 second penalty. Was bound to happen at some point. Good little battle here between myself and the Frenchman. Even though I had to serve this penalty, I still felt like trying to get past him, and then he had this weird moment as he just kind of, like another driver early in the video, just forgets to turn. It's quite obviously the corner there, but I don't know, maybe just closed his eyes and forgot what he was doing. Drove off the track. Easy to do, really, isn't it? If you don't know what you're doing, I guess. But yeah, we stay ahead of him, thankfully. And I made a nice little lap there, 21.0, catching up with this group in front. By the end of lap 4, we increased the front trio to a front 4 and get this move done. I am now part of the front trio. On the final lap, now here I pushed a little bit too hard, boom. 1 pixel over the line. To be fair, you can't argue with it. As annoying as penalties can be, especially the track limit ones, they are pretty accurate. I did go over the line, so there you go. And finished that one P3. Still a nice recovery from 7th, I suppose. Now I wanted to watch the top time in the world at the time of recording anyway. And it really is a lesson in driving a bit more like a WRC driver. Trying to keep on the brake and the throttle at the same time to really rotate this car is quite weird. But what you'll notice about this lap is that it really does get the car to turn. You see there a lot of rotation. It's like I am watching rallycross rather than an actual car on a tarmac circuit. A lot of commitment and bravery through that section, which is great to see, and it's the 3rd time I've said that. Into the final couple of corners, and you see just really right on the edge of what is permissible by law, by the track limits law, and ultimately a very fast lap, an 18.3, and therefore it's my turn to improve upon my 22.2, which was rubbish, but I should surely be able to improve on that. I did 21, low 21 in the race. We improved to a 20.8 immediately. And then it was really a case of just learning how much speed I can really take through this section. And of course, you know, with commitment and bravery, which is what I've said now 4 times about that corner. Now, through the final couple of corners. And are we going to be able to improve on our time? It looks as though we are, yes. So this is going to be a low 20, 20.1. But I knew a 19 was possible. I did it eventually on lap number 8. Repeating it on lap 9, and then you're going to watch now my fastest lap, unless of course you click away from the video. and there's nothing I can do to stop you doing that. You could just, be like, I'm going to get you there, Super GT. I'm actually going to click away, and I'm not going to watch your fastest lap. Or you could skip the video. You could skip ahead. So there's lots of options for you there, and you don't actually have to watch it because I can't force you. Nothing I can do, really. I don't know where you live. I don't, and even if I did, I could turn up and you could just blank. You could just ignore me, really, couldn't you? And so, yeah, nothing I can do really about you watching this lap or not watching it. But it was a tidy lap for those of you who are still here watching, and I was consistent, getting into this sort of high 19, low 20 sort of area, and I could nail that kind of lap time quite consistently. I do think it's one of those circuits and one of those cars where it's actually quite hard to really nail very fast laps consistently because of the way that you have to drive it and the nature of the circuit. Coming into the final corner, let's take a look. We are basically level with our fastest time, and then there we go. Across the line is going to be a 19.8, and that's where I left it. I could have gone a little bit quicker to maybe a mid-19, but that time was good enough for P20 in the world at the time of doing it, and I felt satisfied with it. It put me on pole position alongside our best friend from the first race, our Frenchman friend who liked to turn right on a straight. So it was really a case of really just keep my lead as best as possible for this first corner, which is why I went very defensive here. Made sure that there was no way he got the inside. And then his race was over pretty much by about that point there. When you see your main primary opponent off onto the sand, you know that it should be quite an easy race from there on in. And thankfully it was, ultimately winning this one a couple of laps later, and it was quite a commanding victory, should I say. 12.7 seconds in the lead. Quite happy with that. And amazingly enough, someone asked, are you real, Super GT? And to be fair, Super GT doesn't win by 12.7 seconds, so I replied, no, I'm fake, because there's no way I could have actually won by that much. Into the next race from pole position, and it was really a case of where would my primary opponent get absolutely shafted this time. That was the main question. This time he didn't get the best of launches. You see the guy in third actually got alongside him. Then boom, it was at that point there, I'd say, where the Swiss driver got his nose in and our French friend drops heftily down the order. He wasn't even inside the top 8 after 5 seconds of racing. And it shows you how important the launch is on a grid start. Really does. So that was another win. We're slowly racking them up here. And it was a pole position, faster lap, clean race, and the win. Beautiful stuff. This comment entertained me. Bunch of dirty clowns yet again. And, I'm just quite happy that I wasn't in and amongst all of that. How about this one, right? Because this one, surely third time lucky for our French friend here, because we go defensive. This is what you should have done the first time. Go around the outside, but in the attempt of just avoiding the trouble behind, and he did a good job. That's how you actually stay in position. He wasn't necessarily trying to overtake. It's more a case of getting yourself away from the opponents, going into the clear space that's available. Now I drove away from him at the end of first lap. By the beginning of the 5th lap, the only person that could really stop me was myself, and that's very nearly what happened here. So I just carried a tiny bit too much speed through the first corner, and luckily I had a 5.5 second gap by this point in time. Going off onto the sand really does dirty your tyres, so he actually caught up quite a bit, and I only won that race by 1.5 seconds. But a win is a win, and I crashed. The game crashed. It said next. It wouldn't do anything. So the game mimicked my crashing, so we had to close it. But thankfully, it did count. I took a look at my stats. It was 42 wins before, and then so we went up to 43. So now we head over to the States. I mean, this circuit is in the States. It makes sense to do it on the American servers, and for some reason I put my shifter down into reverse without noticing. sometimes I like to flick it up and down before the race begins, and then I just wasn't watching or paying attention. There's about 4,000 people off on the sand. So, despite reversing off the line, I'm already in P8 after 2 corners, which is quite embarrassing, really, for everyone who's now behind me. And, well, let's try and make our way through this order. It's just really chaos, basically. So, Daily Race A in Gran Turismo, be it Sport or now Gran Turismo 7. It's normally just a recipe for death, carnage, destruction, you name it. Get your thesaurus out, look at any of those words. And, oh, we're going to go for another switcheroo here. David Croft, are you watching this? Beautiful, beautiful old switcheroos. I forgot to specify the type of switcheroo again. Old switcheroo, not the new switcheroo, it's the old one. Coming down into the commitment corner. And it looked like someone was off there. Going to go side by side through this section. This never tended to end well for me. Off to the sand. I'm just trying to give him space for this contact mid-turn. And then here, I've got the outside line. And then I've got the very far outside line, which is almost the barrier line. And I drop down to 7th. And then just take a look at our Brazilian-Canadian friends here. As, boom, they... Yeah. Great driving from the pair of them. Well, Canadian didn't really do anything wrong, to be fair. But they both end up in the sand. Trying to nip underneath here. That's why this final corner was such a beautiful corner, because you could overtake so many ways through that turn. And I quite enjoyed it. Up into P3. And then this guy, yeah, he must... People were going into second gear on the exit of that corner. You don't want second gear because it just takes so long to shift up. So you might as well just stay in third and then do away with that gear shift. So here, beginning of lap 4, end of lap 5 now, there's a guy called Don't Hit Me. And I did contemplate ramming him off and smashing into him. But, you know, that's not a very nice thing to do, is it? So I decided against it. Finishing P2, and I was very curious about Don't Hit Me. And I was really hoping that he went through this whole race without being hit. So let's take a look if Don't Hit Me doesn't get hit. And well, very close there, but down here his dreams get absolutely shattered right there. That's the moment it happened. So unfortunately for him, it wasn't a hit-free race. Now this race here, this start here, guys, is well, this is pure entertainment, and this is really what you came to see. Look at this, right? P11. Got the inside, nice little old switcheroo. And then this yellow car comes flying out of nowhere, forgets to brake, uses everyone else as a brake. Then there's about 18 people off on the grass, even though there's only 12 people. Then I got the inside of these guys to get 2 more overtakes. And I've gone from 11th to 3rd, momentarily here to 2nd, in the span of not very much time at all. I've actually got front end damage given all of that ricocheting at the second corner. But yeah, what an absolutely ridiculous start. And it really does... Basically my method was just to keep it pinned, make sure you don't go off the track, and it seemed to work. Another old switcheroo. The old switcheroo counter is racking up here, everyone. And we get on lap 2, look how much more commitment and bravery I showed through that corner. Absolutely incredible. Up behind Benrod, I went so quick, I went into the back of him. And that kind of... It told me I was quicker through that section than him. So it's something I would watch out for on the next lap. But let's try to get this overtake done. Try and take the lead. And I would say that going into this race, I was very sceptical. It's a daily race, It's around Willow Springs street version circuit. And there's lots of sand. And there's lots of potential for collision. But I think once the race has settled down, I actually really enjoyed this race. It was actually quite a fun little race to do. And it was just, I don't know, it was just really good fun. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed these cars around this circuit. It was a good little combo. It kind of surprised me, if I must be completely honest with you. So now we're trying to engineer the old switcheroo. And it's just going to happen again. These guys they just could not defend the exit of this corner. You just nip underneath, the banking helps you round, and then before you know it, you've been Ole Switcherooed. And it's just beautiful, really, isn't it? Just absolutely insane stuff. And then we show a bit more commitment and bravery, just like we've been doing a fair amount of through that corner for the whole video, and pull away from Mr. Ben Rod there in P2 as we try to hurtle through the final couple of corners and give ourselves a nice big gap to try to play with for the final 2 laps. But that was that race pretty much. A couple of laps later, bringing it home. Scotch egg, 11th to 1st around the Willow Springs race. Really good fun, actually. Kind of enjoyed it. Had a good laugh with this one. As carnage filled as it was, as you can see from these devastating scenes, this is a replay of the race we just did. Just look how many people off. The race director there looking the wrong way, not witnessing the carnage. Thank you so much for watching this one. Have a nice day. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.